Donald Trump not taking the midterms well. Moving into day 3, over the night, he appears not to have slept. He just bleated throughout the night, saying, now that the election in Florida is over and everything went quite well, shouldn't it be said that in 2020, I got 1.1 million capitalized more votes in Florida than Ron D got? Just asking. Okay, so again, all of his candidates won or whatever, it went super well, even though it didn't. And now, hey, I'm not saying anything. I got more votes than the guy you guys love. Don't focus on the fact that that was a presidential election. This is the midterms. Turnout's totally different. I'm the big winner. Okay, if that makes you feel better. But that's just a sideshow to his main issue. A lot of reporting has come out over the past couple of days that we've talked about on the network about how he is trying to move blame off of him to other people. And a lot of his, as always, his advisors and aides are leaking like hell to the media. And he doesn't like that. So he said, for those many people that are being fed the fake narrative from the corrupt media that I am capital A angry about the midterms, don't believe it. I am not at all angry, did a great job. I wasn't the one running and am very busy looking in the future. Remember, I am a stable genius. Buddy, I can't forget. I don't think I'll ever forget that you're a stable genius. Anyway, Adrienne, what do you think?
He's such a whack job. It's incredible though, because everything with Donald Trump is some kind of size measuring contest. And while he's trying to say that, I'm so much better and I had such a bigger crowd and I got so many votes, it's like he's not convincing anyone. This is LDE he's giving off here. And it's just so incredibly pathetic. And yet he does this, and for him to continue to do it and say things, I'm a stable genius. Oh my God, like what is wrong with you?
It's so embarrassing. I want to be very clear because I know a lot of people listen to this as a podcast, and you totally should. And if you do, you should go on Apple Podcasts and rate and review us. 5 stars, please, but also leave a message because I love reading those. I didn't add the remember I'm a stable genius. That is literally a part of his bleat. He sent that out, okay, just to be clear. But as ridiculous as that is, I find that part less interesting than this. So you might recall yesterday on the show, we talked about how in trying to evade blame for supporting candidates like Dr. Oz, he came up with the novel strategy of telling the people around him, it wasn't me, it was that damn wacky Melania. Terrible advice on her part. Well, what do you think they did? They went and talked to the media, and the media reported it. And then I'm sure he woke up, saw that all on the headlines, and was like, oh no, that's not gonna go over well with Melania. So he's bleeding to try to patch things up to avoid potentially a very costly divorce, saying, I'd like to apologize to Melania and Sean Hannity, but not for the reason you might think. For all of the fake news and fictional stories made up out of thin air with no sources, despite them claiming there are, being dumped on you. Organizations know these stories are not true. The fake news media is crazed and totally out of control. They make up stories and then push them down your throats. Our country is in big trouble. And he goes on, he has a whole nother one about Dr. Oz. It's a fake story. They're lying about Melania. And then but then again, he's trying to convince you that the defenses he was making up about Dr. Oz failing are not true. And even in this last message, he starts coming up with other reasons why Dr. Oz's loss isn't on him. If you're trying to reassure us that you're not going around talking to your aides about how it was all Melania's fault and all that, maybe just take some responsibility. Demonstrate that you're not that guy that they're saying you are. No, you are that guy. You might be a slightly different flavor of that guy, but that is very much who you are. Anyway, Adrienne, do you think that this is going to smooth things over in the household? Is Melania gonna once again sleep in the same wing of Mar-a-Lago as him?
Well, I kind of would like to think that she probably is avoiding his wing because as we talked the last time we were together about his dietary habits. But I think there also might be the possibility that Melania may not be able to read. So this could all work out in their benefit. But if
Adrienne, be fair. She's not Leah Michelle. Come on, I'm sure she can read.
Okay, fine. But it does speak volumes to their dynamics. The fact that he's even addressed the issue by coming up with this tweet, because it probably does say that she was not happy at all to hear that she is being forced to carry this burden of blame for Dr. Oz and his performance, because it seems that Donald Trump's kryptonite is accountability. And so he is so incredibly uncomfortable with it, so that he is willing to come on here and spin another lie because he thinks it makes him look good. And it's just so incredibly strange and weird that he has so many followers who are willing to lap this up.
Yeah. So we haven't gotten to catch up much from the election. So I do want your opinion of, I want two scenarios. So one, how do you think this thing plays out in terms of the potential figurehead of the Republican Party? Like, are they going to shift over to Ron DeSantis? Are they going to stay with Trump? How do you think the primary is going to go? And then what would your advice be?
Oh, okay. So if it comes to for who's going to run the GOP for the presidential ticket for 2024, I wouldn't be surprised if the party kind of becomes divided to a certain extent. And because his ego is so significant and big, I would love it if Trump tried to run on like an independent ticket and split the GOP's vote, because I think that that's actually somewhat of a possibility just because of how huge his ego is. Because I think all the rational party that is GOP, which I think is the vast majority of the Republican Party, are going to leverage their strength behind Ron DeSantis because he does not have all the baggage that Trump has, including all the indictments and the rape accusations and so on and so forth. But I think that they're going to lose control of Trump because Trump will not allow himself not to be a part of that conversation. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. What do you think about so obviously a lot of the attention is focused on Trump and DeSantis, and people occasionally say Greg Abbott or whatever. What if they went with Brian Kemp? Like, what if you had months of Trump and DeSantis tearing each other to shreds, and then Kemp emerges as the seemingly more reasonable Republican? And I know some people would be like, no, but you want DeSantis. That way you can get Florida. They're gonna get Florida anyway. Yeah. They might not necessarily get Georgia, but Brian Kemp just won statewide in Georgia. They don't need Greg Abbott to get Texas. They're probably gonna get Texas. Yeah. Wouldn't it be safer for them electorally to go with someone like Brian Kemp, who not only avoids all of the Trump baggage, but Ron DeSantis not only has the anti-trans stuff, the Disney stuff, the groomer stuff and all that, but he is going to be destroyed by Donald Trump. God only knows what baggage he's gonna bring. Why not just go with Brian Kemp? Like, I know people in the chat may be saying he's too boring. Yeah, but like boring could win for them. Their boring candidates won in the midterms. It was their exciting candidates that didn't do so well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that maybe Kemp, not that he's too boring, but he might be so boring that he does not want to be elevated to that level. In part because of the efforts Trump and MAGA would undertake to tear him down. He may feel like, nope, George is my place. I'm gonna go ahead and sit here. I do well here and just stay. But do you think that he's gonna end up taking that potential run?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, you gotta have a certain amount of ambition to wanna be a governor, I suppose. I don't think there's any governors who don't occasionally think about it. But yeah, he might, I don't know how old he is. He looks a little bit on the younger side. Maybe he just wants to wait it out. It's possible that him and Ron DeSantis would just prefer to wait it out. They just got new terms as governors. They can wait the 6 years. There's like a 50-50 chance Trump isn't even alive at that point. That may just be a lot easier than going through all of the, not only insults, but the inevitable thousands of death threats you'll get from MAGA heads as a result of challenging Daddy Trump. We'll have to see. I'll have to see. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.